Never tell anyone this ever.
No.
Take it to your grave.
If your partner does have weird gross ears, be like, you got weird gross ears.
There is not enough time in the day to solve that.
Know that in your head, but don't say it out loud because it comes across like you do want that.
Alright, welcome to the first episode of Fight Your Stepdad, an advice show, for people of the internet, for anonymous people on the internet. Before we get into it, we have to do a little disclaimer first. We'll be going through our legal advice, and Cal wants to make sure he's not liable, so whatever spiel you need to say here.
So I'm a law student, just disclosure, fuck.
Not a good one, apparently.
Not a good one. I'm a terrible lawyer, but any advice that I give out here is not official advice. My official advice for all legal questions is get a lawyer.
Alright, perfect. That's covered. That was Cal. I'm Riley.
I'm Brad.
I'm Cassie.
And we're not lawyers.
And we're not studying law, so we don't actually have to say that.
You can do whatever you want, yeah.
Yeah, so this is really it's really weird that once you start looking at the law, then you automatically have to say you know nothing about the law.
It's not governed by reason.
No, yeah, it's very odd. So I guess the point of this podcast is we scour Reddit advice subreddits, and then we bring them here and we pose them to Brad and Cal for this week, and hopefully back and forth we get a go. But
Basically, there's just a lot of people and they have really interesting problems. And I think with this room of knowledge, we can help them out.
And what a room of knowledge it is. You can smell the knowledge in the air.
Is that what that is?
I think it's my feet.
Alrighty, do we want to just get straight into it, jump for the first question?
Yeah, so the first one from our relationship advice. Should I, 21 female, make a move on my 21 male friend after his granddad's funeral? Let me give you some background.
Is that needed?
I've had feelings for my friend, let's call him Z, for a long time. We've been at this will we won't we stage. This weekend is his granddad's funeral and he asked me to go with him out of state to be his emotional support. Should I make a move afterwards in the hotel room or leave it be because he is, all caps, very vulnerable right now?
So,
Discuss.
Brad, what should this person do in this scenario?
I mean, that's, for me, a person's time of grieving, that's really not particularly a time that you want to sort of spring, romantic advances on somebody. Mm-hmm. Especially, I don't think I could do that. If it was me.
Are you a hero?
I don't think I would not be comfortable doing that.
You've taken the moral high ground on this one.
Because I definitely have, and for good reason. Because if you're watching if you're watching grandma cry,
Oh god.
Yeah.
because granddad's dead and they were together for
That's nature's aphrodisiac, though.
Old people crying.
grandma crying definitely is not going to do it for me, unfortunately. I don't know about you, Cal, but
Facing the questions of what is she going to do without him.
yeah,
Really
exactly. Which doesn't really put you in sort of a state of being I want to start a new relationship. You're like, oh, well, he's... Because what's the point, I suppose? You'd be asking yourself, it's well, in the end, he's going to die anyway. I'm going to be left alone for probably 10 years based off of the current estimations of lifespan. So
Just on the genetic, what you're looking at the moment.
yeah, So that's, yeah.
Any advice, Cal, on that one?
Not really.
Can't add to that.
Just how long after a funeral should you wait before springing the move on someone?
I mean, I guess it comes down to personal preference, but I definitely wouldn't do it after the wake.
You wouldn't do it after, immediately after.
No,
not 15 years after.
No, yeah. No. Once the wake has happened, you gotta no. I definitely wouldn't do it the night of the wake. I feel which would be kind of that feels like when you would, because
that's it. In practical thinking is you'd go back to to a hotel together.
Yeah.
Or you'd be staying together.
Yeah.
And that's when the person is the neediest.
And I mean,
and you're
the word is very vulnerable.
Where they are the most vulnerable, and you're ready.
Oh, you want to get them when they're vulnerable. That's, as a
sex offender Brad has joined the party.
Oh boy.
No, that is not my my professional advice.
Your
I'm not offering legal advice here, but no, you don't want to get them while they're vulnerable. But I mean, like, I don't know.
What do you mean? I think. Oh man, I think I see where you're coming from, because that would be when the temptation's the most, when they're like, they're leaning on you and they're like
Yeah.
supporting you, but like, I want to do the most that I can, and that might feel like the right thing to do.
Which, I mean, if
But I
they're...
don't think it is, because like that person's granddad has died. You should probably just let him like grieve that and like go through that the normal way. Don't get caught in that whirlwind.
But, I mean, if it's like the difference between like going home and watching like, I don't know, like a movie on All-Star at the hotel room and maybe throwing them a sympathy bone, maybe that's like, you know, I know kind of maybe what I'd prefer to do in that instance.
Yeah,
It's
alright.
like, you know, it's like, alright, like...
I hate that I have to agree.
That's... So it's like... And that's not what the question is. It's like, am I like going to spring a relationship on this person?
Should I make a move afterwards in the hotel room or leave it be, because he is very vulnerable right now?
You should leave it be if they make a move. I think is that like if they make a move,
You leave it be.
you leave it be, and then if they make a move, then like the polite thing to do is probably, and if you have feelings, like reciprocate. Like you should just be like, oh, like yes, but you shouldn't like come in guns blazing. Do not. This is not an opportunity.
Yeah.
Don't like
I
turn
think
around and
that's-
be like, this is like I've cornered them. They're weak.
Yeah.
As I've got him in a room. Like, don't view it. Don't view it like that.
Yeah. No, I think that's sage
Yeah.
advice.
Like, I don't know. Who amongst us hasn't
Been vulnerable.
had a sympathy bone? Oh.
I think 3 or 4.
I think anyone who bones either of you two is doing it out of sympathy.
Wow.
So, like,
Yeah. That's fine.
Oof, gonna go and cry tonight.
Harsh burn.
alright, Kat, I think...
Hit us with the next
Yeah.
one. I think we've solved that
The
one.
next one. Hey, is it possible to brainwash yourself not to like women? I don't mean I'm an incel or I hate women type of way. I just don't want to be attracted to them. I am not attractive to women, so I don't want to be sexually or romantically attracted to them. I've tried thinking that even if I did end up with a girlfriend, I'd be cheated on or get an STD, but it just doesn't help. I just hate the feeling I get when I start to like a woman or see someone pretty in public. Please share your experiences if you have any. Any advice is welcome.
You'd have to start with, is brainwashing possible, I feel.
Is it possible to brainwash yourself? Like,
I mean,
here we go.
like, from a certain point of view, like, just any sort of, like, affirmation of something that you believe is probably enough to be like, yeah, that's what I believe. Like, I think if you just keep telling yourself, I'm not really attracted to women,
Enough.
it'll just,
it'll work.
it'll just become the default, and you'll be like, all right, sweet, ooh, girls. And, like, you know, like, it's like mental fortitude, you know, it's like becoming a monk. You're just like, I don't really
But do you
like
think this
women.
Do you think this is the best option? Because like it just sounds
No,
like
I think he should fix his personality. I think that's what he should do, because, or whatever he's, like, if he's ugly, like, sorry, but like, but he should, obviously the root cause of his issues is that it's like, he doesn't like that there's no reciprocation. And it's like, so he's just like, why bother?
Which is the worst attitude. His attitude is like, why bother? It's like, well, you know what I'll do? I'll just destroy this at the cause, which is clearly me liking women.
Yeah, but I think the thing is, like, you know, it is easier than trying to brainwash yourself into not liking women. Also running the risk of, like, well, one day some knockout girl comes knocking on your door and it's like, I really like you and I think you're great and all that sort of stuff. And you're going to be like, I'm sorry, I don't like women. It's like brainwash.
Sorry, I've spent 15 years making sure I don't like women.
So I hate to burst your bubble, but...
I'm really in the last 3 days of my master plan. I'm this close to not liking women. You need to go.
Yeah, I'm not, like, I think that's a little less productive. I think what would be productive would be to turn around and say, okay, well, I'm going to go get some hobbies. Like, because, like, you know...
You just have to be a mildly interesting person.
I mean, brainwashing could be a hobby of his, though.
Yeah, but not
I don't know if you should learn brainwashing to get women. I feel like that's not what I want to advocate.
My suggestion, my main problem with all of this is the last bit, where I just hate the feeling I get when I start to like a woman or see someone pretty in public. So this guy needs to go to some therapy, because that's like, imagine just getting every time you see someone pretty.
And you just
going, oh.
white hot rage just directed at them.
I hate attractive people. Honestly, I kind of get where it's coming from.
Yeah.
I'm like,
But you're not like so bad. You're like, well, you know what I'll do? I'll just rewire my entire brain, and that'll really solve my problem.
but I do have to say, I definitely do feel like a twinge of like anger. Or guilt, not guilt. Like
Shame.
No, shame. Yeah, shame. When I see like an attractive person, men or women, doesn't matter. I'm like, my God, like, why? Why did you get this? And I'm just stuck with all this. And it's like,
But like, what is nice about this question is that I do think that he was like, well, I can't, like, his first, like, thought wasn't like, oh, just shoot all, like, pretty people and then, like, just wait till I get arrested and caught for that. He was like, no, this is an internal problem. I think I've just got to, like, really, like, bring it back to home and really just radically rewire who I am, which is much better than being like, I'll just radically rewire society. Mm-hmm. So at least he set an achievable goal, which is nice.
so do you think you should do it?
No.
Okay.
But I'm just happy that he didn't, like, look outward first.
Yeah.
His first thought was like, no, I'll look inward.
This is my fault.
And instead of, like, looking inward, getting to, like, oh, I should be, like, a person that girls would like to like, his thought was like, no.
That's impossible.
That's too much effort.
That's too much effort. It'll just be easier to brainwash myself to not like girls. And then clearly everything will be A-okay.
Cool.
To play devil's advocate, what... if you were going to give him advice on how to brainwash someone to stop liking women, what
himself.
Would, yeah.
Himself.
I think
where would you start?
Yeah, I think I'd just start with that. It's like, you can convince yourself of anything if you just internally just tell yourself that is the reality of your situation. So it's like,
just do that, and then, or like make like little tapes that you listen to when you go to sleep. That's just like, hey bud, you don't like girls, and just it loops, and you'd be like, oh, that's great.
But then that leaves him with like another problem, because so like, do you then have to balance that out and like, does he have to get another set of tape that's like, I like men now, which opens up like a whole conversation.
He wasn't asking like, can you brainwash myself into becoming gay?
But he just wants to be, so he just wants to be asexual, or like,
just wants to not like women,
or not get mad when he sees pretty people.
Yeah,
which is an oddly specific request.
Yeah, probably the tapes. I'd say that's like,
the tape's the best way to go.
Cal?
Right? This one is all Cal. This is Cal's legal corner.
Oh, is this?
This is the legal corner. Alright. If I am an aspiring rapper and I make it big...
oh boy, this will be good.
How do you get my...
Alright. If I am an aspiring rapper and I make it big with my stage name being Young Frozone, could Disney sue me?
No text.
Young, okay.
Young is YUNG.
NG. And Frozone is spelled the same as The Incredibles Frozone?
Yes.
Okay. So, what you'd have to look at is, because this is an IP question. Fuck.
First step, get a lawyer.
Okay. First step, get a lawyer. Get an actual lawyer. I do IP law, but I'm not, like...
And
we're
Australian, and this is probably a US question.
Yeah, and there is a lot of overlap between, like, American IP and Australian IP, but still, get an actual fucking lawyer.
Yeah. Don't take it from strangers on the internet.
Yeah, the first thing you do is, because it's a name that would be trademarked by Disney for Frozone. Mm-hmm. And if you are using Young Frozone, then it becomes a question of whether that trademark, because you'd be trademarking the name, whether that's infringing the Disney one. Mm-hmm. So you'd have to essentially look at whether, like, the names are substantially similar.
Uh-huh.
So at least this is in Australian law. So, like, Young Frozone and Frozone are pretty fucking identical.
Uh-huh.
You've just added Young in front of it.
Yeah.
But, like, when you're looking at that, you also have to, like, take into considerations, okay, would someone believe that this is from the same source? And the answer is no.
I think, and not being an IP lawyer,
Or a lawyer
Or
of
a
any
lawyer.
sort.
Just being a brat.
just being a brat, I do have to ask the question: is there issues, or not issues? Is there the consideration that would not be using any of like the imagery, the associated?
So
imagery with Frozen?
it depends on what is trademarked by Disney. Like, I can't speak for Disney here because I'm the entire fucking legal team. But like, I'd imagine that the name would definitely be trademarked. Probably the image of like Samuel L. Jackson being trademarked as like the design. But if you're looking at like the word, whether that is infringing young Frozone, then like I would probably argue that it's not substantially identical.
Yeah.
Because you've added young to it.
Yeah.
But there's also another category called it's got to be deceptively similar.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, it'll confuse people into thinking that this is Frozone.
Right.
And young Frozone, like, just if you knew nothing about it, you'd be like, oh, that's obviously like a Frozone prequel. Like, we have young Sheldon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Or like
that's-
it's Frozone's kid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is it young Frozone Young?
It's YUNG.
Why you
There you go.
And
So
there
you
is-
couldn't think.
And there is a small point B to this. So, what if he adds a second Z in Frozone? Is his other solution?
Okay, that actually changes a bit then.
Oh.
Yeah. because you're doing enough that it's making it less like substantially.
But if you're doing enough
Identical.
to differentiate it from something else, are you not saying that you do have something that was similar to something else?
It's kind of like, I know, like, because we covered this week, so it's like
Oh, this is
fresh in the memory.
You talked about young Frozone in class.
We talked about like Twisties and the Audi cheesy twists.
Yeah.
Right? And so they were like not found to be identical because even though you've got twist as like the key word, it's two different things.
Yeah.
And because you've got the cheesy with the Z, it like means that they're not identical. But like when it comes to deceptively similar,
Yeah.
you have to look at like people that are, I guess, like the audience base. And that's probably where it might fall down here for Disney if they were going to sue this guy. Because, like, you look at the audience who's going to be watching The Incredibles,
Yeah.
and the audience who would listen to
Young
some shitty
Frozone.
SoundCloud rapper.
Young Frozone.
The Venn diagrams don't really match up, I don't think.
Okay, let me throw you a curveball. Incredibles 3 comes out. They're like,
Side story, Samuel L. Jackson becomes a rapper.
No.
well, I was going to say, oh shit, we need some merch for this bad baby.
Yeah.
And they're like, rap album.
Yeah.
A Frozone
They get
rap
hit
album.
with the kids.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Does that run into... Can then young Frozone with
Sue
two
Disney
Z's sue Disney?
in a landmark case.
So,
David versus Goliath.
if they were going to, like, talk about... Fuck, actually, that's a good question.
I'm going to just quickly do a cursory sort of Google
For young
Frozone.
Young Frozone.
And see if he has changed it or if he's stuck with it.
Because, like, I think, like, it's one thing to discuss, like, what would happen legally, but it's, like, practically, Disney would send a cease and desist. They'd threaten to sue this guy out the arse, and the guy would change his name.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Even if they're in, like, the wrong. Even if, like, young Frozone could win this case,
Yeah.
he wouldn't have the money to defend a fucking suit against Disney.
Yeah.
And, like, he'd also wouldn't want to fight Disney.
Why? What did you find out?
No.
Yeah, no. Okay, so, like, Brad showed me a picture, and it's, like, young Frozone
Yeah.
looking like goddamn Frozone from The Incredibles.
You can't do that.
That's infringement. That's like, pretty.
No.
That's pretty straight infringement.
He's
Yeah.
got that one.
Change your name.
Yeah, again, another one
Yeah.
from young Frozone's Twitter.
Okay, yeah, so if he's making
done.
artwork for his singles, possibly
Where he's
album,
looking like Frozone, yeah.
then he's definitely...
It's because he's clearly relying on the Frozone name to get sales, and that's bad.
So what's your final, not legal advice for young
Young
Frozone?
Frozone.
Mr. Frozone, if you want to fight this, get an actual lawyer.
Uh-huh.
Don't. Just change your name.
It's not worth it?
It's not
It's
worth.
not worth the
It's
uphill
honestly
battle.
not worth the fucking suit against Disney.
What? There's no way he could use Frozone in any way, shape, or form.
Well, he is. He's using it at the
Yeah,
moment.
and he would be infringing.
yeah.
Yeah.
And yeah, there's no solution really for him.
It's change the name or
No.
get sued out the arse.
Do
Yeah,
you think that Disneyland, the Walt Disney Corporation,
Mhm.
do you think, because I imagine this sort of stuff comes up a lot, like
Yeah.
people just riffing off of Disney properties.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that they kind of would view something like this as like sort of a small sort of fish, or do you think they go after everybody? Like,
I think it depends a lot on the company, because I know CBS sent like a cease and desist like this morning to like a fan game of Star Trek.
yeah,
That was like getting pretty popular. I think it's when it becomes big enough that like Disney knows about it,
yeah.
they'll fire off.
So that indicates that young Frozone hasn't.
He's
become
probably
big
flying
enough.
under the radar at the moment
this one.
until we've mentioned him.
He's
now,
on
and
thin
it's-
ice.
Unless that is why he's posted on Reddit, because he's starting to really get up there.
It's
And
on here.
this
and he's
is
worried. Well, I think that brings us to the end of
That's it.
Fight Your Stepdad. Thank you for listening and tuning in for advice. We'll be back soon with more relationship and legal advice brought by the sharpest minds available in the room. Thank you for listening.